Welcome to MMA on the Rocks. My name is Bill Welker. You are listening to episode 192 of the podcast, or you're joining us live on Facebook or YouTube. Today is Sunday, May the 24th, Memorial Day weekend. So first and foremost, of course, this is the solemn time of year when we remember those brave men and women who gave the ultimate sacrifice for our country and gave their lives. So a big thank you to each and every one of those people and to their families for everything that they had to go through in the wake of that. And even though they have their own day, the active military and the veterans, there's never a bad time to thank our veterans and to thank our active military, especially during a time like this. You know, they're out there putting it all on the line and they're willing to make that ultimate sacrifice. So thank you to all of our service people around the world. We definitely appreciate you and continuing to fight for the liberties that we do so enjoy here in these great United States of America. One of those liberties that I enjoy is talking to my buddy all the way from New Jersey, Jeff, the Animal Wilson. Jeff, how you feeling on this Sunday evening, my friend? We're back to our regular time slot here.
Yeah, but I feel great. It's been a little cold this week. It's been a little rainy, but it's looking like it's going to clear up this week. So, thank you to all the veterans, all those who have, served, who have died protecting our liberties, like you said, Bill. And, just for everybody out there, while you're enjoying your weekend, just, take a second and just, remember that we, like you said, Bill, we have a lot of liberties in this country and a lot of opportunities that not a lot of people have, in third world countries. That's where my parents came from. So, definitely a lot happier living here than they would be anywhere else. And, we have our problems, but everybody else has problems too. So, Bill, how are things in your neck of the woods? How's the Florida weather treating you?
Oh, man, weather was beautiful today. It was supposed to rain a little bit. But it held out. We took the little tyke to a place called Howard Beach Park, and we did we took the bikes there. We biked around, and then there's like a little beach there. So, but most of it was like closed off. They only let so many people in, but because we went in on bicycles, we were able to get through. And it's just like real shallow water. We let her splash around in there, and it was nice, man. And then just came home and laid low, pretty much continuing quarantine. Things are starting to come back around here in Florida. Things are opening back up, restaurants and everything like that. I was able to get a haircut this week, Jeff. That was a wild experience. Because the barber I go to, shout out to Edson's barbershop in Tampa. He's in there by himself, Jeff. It's his shop, and he's the only guy in there. And he does by appointment only. And you go and you have to wait outside for the person before you to finish. And then when they come out, he doesn't let you in yet. He sanitizes everything. And then he enters the door with a mask, like a surgical mask, and then a face shield over that and gloves. Like he looked like he was ready to handle radiation, Jeff.
Nice.
And then he takes the gloves off. He sanitizes his hands, sanitizes all his equipment. He put a plastic covering over me so it was disposable. And then he put a new pair of gloves on. And I was able to get my hair cut. So if anything is going to make you feel like somewhat back to normal, it's getting a haircut, as I could see you did yourself, Jeff. So let me hear your story there.
Oh yeah, Bill. My sister did it for me. She did a surprisingly good job. It was usually when I was younger, my dad would cut it, and all the kids at school would make fun of me for it. So I didn't want him touching it this time. But it looks good. I wanted the longer stuff out of the way. It's starting to get hot up here, and my hair holds water pretty well, so I didn't want to have to deal with it. I was tired of having to comb it and stuff. So it's easier for me to manage if it's short.
Yeah, for sure. So it's looking good, kid. You're getting a little out of control for a while there.
Yeah, I lost the plot for a sec, Bill, but we're back. And Bill, what do we got going on?
Oh man, so much. So we got fight night coming up, and on Saturday night, and I'm so excited because my buddy Billy Quarantillo, was just added to this card last week. After we did last week's episode, so we didn't have time to discuss it yet. I had an opportunity to chat with him a little bit. He's really excited. He's looking good. He's looking shredded. He definitely didn't put on the COVID-19 like some of the rest of us did. Yeah, he's looking good, man. He stayed disciplined with his diet. I think he was just itching, staying ready just in case. So huge news for him. I know he's been working out hard during this quarantine, and hopefully it pays off for him. And let's just lead off with that because he's fighting Spike Carlyle, who they call him. What do they call him? The ginger, the alpha ginger. He's a wild character, Jeff. I don't know if you've seen him fight before. Coming off he was a LXF featherweight champion, I believe, or LFA, one of those. And in his UFC debut, knocked out Alon Cruz in the first round. Real explosive guy. And, his only hope with Billy is to try and knock him out quick, because you don't want to go into deep waters with Billy Q, because he'll drown you there every single time. He is relentless. He fights at such a relentless pace. He never takes his foot off the gas. And the only way to beat him is to put him out, put his lights out, because otherwise he will not stop. The kid's an absolute machine. So I'm super excited to see my buddy Billy get back in there. That's going to be UFC on ESPN 9 Saturday night, which is going to take place at the UFC Apex, which is Billy's house. He fought on the Ultimate Fighter. He fought on the Contender Series, so he's familiar with that environment. And Spike is an exciting fighter too, so this one's going to be fireworks, Jeff.
Yeah, dude, I'm excited to see Billy Quarantillo in there again. I just remember how exciting his UFC debut was, and I remember just being so impressed with his cardio and being able to keep that pace for 3 rounds. So, Bill, I'm excited for this fight, and I think Spike Carlyle is going to have his hands full here, dude.
That's an understatement. And this is also going to be a catch weight for the record, because I guess Spike has a little quarantine weight that he put on, and he said he wouldn't be able to make the 145-pound limit, so they agreed to make it 150 pounds ahead of time. And that's a respectable thing, to ask for the catch weight as opposed to just missing weight and participating in the sanctioned cheating. Now, if you ask for the catch weight and you still miss weight, that's a dick move. I can't be on board with that. But, he wants a couple extra pounds, and Billy's okay with it. So that's where it's going to be. Our buddy Mark joining the show all the way from Australia. What's up, Mark? Let's look at the headliner of this card, Jeff. Tyron Woodley and Gilbert Burns, man. This is a fight that's not getting nearly enough attention. This is a phenomenal fight. Tyron Woodley, one of the best welterweights of all time, and Gilbert Burns, just one of the, in my opinion, I've been saying this every time we talk about Gilbert Burns, one of the most underrated combat sports athletes on the planet. The guy is so game for anything. Oh, you gotta fight on 4 hours notice? Give me a call. I'm there. Oh, you got a grappling tournament? You got Abu Dhabi tomorrow? All right, put me on a plane. I'm coming. And then does well and is competitive. And he's super hungry. He's never been in the position that Woodley has been in before, as a champion or fighting for a championship. And that's where he wants to get. Woodley wants to get back there. But are we going to see a motivated Woodley? He's got a bunch of other things going on. The rap career and the radio show, and and broadcasting. He's got his hands in a lot of things. I don't doubt that he's training hard. I'd never doubt that about Tyron Woodley. It's just, he's been to the top of the mountain. He knows what it takes to get back there. Is he motivated enough to do that? If so, this is going to be an incredible fight. I would give, obviously, the wrestling advantage to Woodley. The overall grappling advantage you would have to give to Gilbert Burns, because Woodley is a black belt under Dean Thomas, but Gilbert Burns is an elite black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, we saw him not only survive against Damian Maia, but get back up to his feet and then crack him. Punching power I'd have to give to Woodley, but you don't want to take too many shots from Gilbert Burns either. And I would give Tyron the speed advantage as well. But it's not like they're huge advantages, Jeff. Like this, they're pretty close. I'd say in everything except the wrestling, Tyron's going to have a big advantage with the wrestling. So if he doesn't want it to go to the ground, it won't. Because he's also a master of controlling distance. I'm really excited for this fight, Jeff. If you can't tell, give me your thoughts.
No, I'm excited too, and I love this matchup. I think that they're both very well-rounded. They do everything really well, and I think I agree with you 100%. I think that the advantages that Tyron Woodley has, they're only slight advantages, except in the wrestling department. Was he an All-American in college? I forget, Tyron Woodley.
I do believe he was an All-American at Missouri.
Yeah, so there you go. With the exception of the wrestling, I think everything's pretty much even. And, they both bring a lot of power. So whether it's standing up or if it goes to the ground, I think this is going to be a really exciting matchup. And I'm curious to see how Tyron Woodley approaches being in the octagon again. It's been a while. He's coming off that huge loss to Kamaru Usman, who basically ragdolled him and was able to control every aspect of that fight. So I'm really, really excited to see how he bounces back from this.
Yeah, and the other thing about it too is you have other fighters who are coming on this card who have been on the Contender Series and have fought in this environment. Tyron Woodley's all of his last fights have been championship fights in front of huge crowds for pay-per-view, main event, all the lights, all the cameras on him. It'll be interesting to see how he does in this environment. I don't know how much it really is a factor for some of these guys. A lot of people thought, maybe that kind of hindered Tony Ferguson because he feeds off of that crowd energy and things like that. But, consider that Woodley's been fighting on the biggest stage for his last 8 fights or so. I can't do the math off the top of my head, but Gilbert Burns, on the other hand, he's grappled in front of 15 people in the last year.
Yeah.
So maybe if you think about that, maybe Gilbert has a little bit of an edge there.
Yeah, definitely. And that's always kind of stuck in the back of my head because I remember when Shayna Baszler was on the Ultimate Fighter season, where Ronda Rousey and Miesha Tate were coaches, and she spoke a little bit to that, where she couldn't get used to not having a crowd there, and that's why she felt like she didn't do as well as she could have. So that's a factor as well. So I'm curious to see how Woodley deals with that. Gilbert Burns, like you said, dude, between his bout at Submission Underground and his last couple of fights, he's probably had, like you said, 15, 20 fans tops. So I think it's going to be super, super interesting. And I don't know, man, Tyron Woodley, he comes out with his headphones on, he kind of gets in the zone. So who knows how much it affects him, if at all.
Yeah. For some of these guys, especially high level guys, they're used to sparring in the gym, and they have sparring brought in for them, and they're just fighting in front of their coaches and maybe the coaches of the other fighter that's brought in for sparring. So, maybe they just treat it like a gym session where they're going extra hard. Who knows? I mean, like anything else, I'm sure every fighter has like their own tricks for getting in the right headspace to get in there and do this. Audience, no audience. For most of them, it probably doesn't matter, except for like real showmen, like a Conor McGregor would probably not enjoy fighting in this environment without the audience and stuff like that. Speaking of Conor, I never really bring up any of his antics. if it doesn't have to do with him fighting in the immediate future, Jeff. But I just find it hilarious because so many people hate this guy, right? And that's like just a marker of fame. He's done a lot of shitty things, but even if he didn't, like, people would hate him just because he's famous. So he took to Twitter and he was talking about his greatest of all time list, and he put Anderson Silva at number 1 and he put himself at number 2, but he thinks he's going to pass him by the time he retires. And people were up in arms about this, Jeff. And what I don't get is when people don't understand, when they tweet his name and put his name on Instagram, that's helping him. That's just like that's just increasing his celebrity. And people never seem to put this together. Like, if you hate the guy so much, don't talk about him. And that's the best way. That's the best way to prove your point. I think he's a phenomenal fighter. I wouldn't put him at number 2 for the greatest of all time. But he does these things just to get people to talk about him, and it's pretty brilliant, and it's pretty effective. Whether he really believes that or not is another story. And it doesn't really matter. I don't know. Any thoughts on the Conor nonsense?
I didn't even know he had posted that until you just told me. But hey, his list is different from my list. It's different from your list of greatest of all time. So, more power to him that he's got confidence in himself. And, I think he's a good fighter. Not on my greatest of all time list, but, a good fighter nonetheless.
Yeah. I mean, definitely a great fighter. The first one to win in UFC championships in 2 different weight classes, of course, never defended either of those championships, which was that was the remark that John Jones made, because I guess John Jones was bumped like out of the top 5 on Conor's list, and John Jones said, try achieving end still. Something along those lines.
I hope Conor shot back with something like "try and still staying out of jail" or something. I don't know. Take your pick. Something along those lines.
Yeah. Well, we'd have to take some time to mull it over. But I have a feeling that Conor is like is the type that, like, his social media is ran for him, and he just he tells somebody what he wants to say, like, say A, B, C, and D, and they just put it out there, and he never sees any of the response or reads any of the bullshit that comes in the wake of it. I don't see him like engaging that much. You could tell if you look at his Twitter too, it's a lot of like, hey, drink my whiskey, and hey, here's a sponsor, and like a lot of stuff that tells me there's definitely an agency running his Twitter account. And whatever. All right, let's take a look at some more fights here, Jeff. The more I look at this card, the more I get excited for it. We got Blagoy, Ivanov, and Augusto, Sakai. So 2 big heavyweights getting in there. Ivanov is one of these guys that's these are 2 really big, like really out of shape looking killers, though. Sakai coming off of that big knockout win over Marcin Tybura in his last fight in September. And Ivanov has had, some big wins, but Sakai was on Dana White's Contender Series as well. And, pretty much finished all of his fights except one against Andrei Arlovsky in the UFC. And Ivanov is a very underappreciated heavyweight, I think. The guy's tough as nails. You want to talk about some of the best chins in the UFC and in the heavyweight division? Blagoy Ivanov has to be in the conversation. So this is a fun fight for me, Jeff, because you got a guy who is known for taking big shots, has never been knocked out, against a guy who's known for big knockouts. Ivanov a little bit more well-rounded, though. He's got some grappling, he's got some submission wins. And he's coming off a close split decision loss to Derek Lewis in his last fight. Give me your thoughts on this one, Jeff.
Yeah, dude, I'm excited for this one. These are two giants. Blagoy Ivanov definitely has a good resume. He's a former World Series of Fighting heavyweight champion. He's got a lot of fights under his belt. He's been doing this for a long time. And, Sakai trying to prove himself. And, he's had some really good wins in the UFC lately. So I'm excited for this one. But, Bill, I don't know how much time Blagoy Ivanov has in the UFC. He's coming into the UFC a little bit older. He's got, like you say, he's got a tough chin, but he's also fought a lot of fights.
Jeff, he's only 33. That's like a freshman for the
really.
Division. Yeah, he looks a lot older, but yeah.
I thought he just looks older. I thought he was in like his early 40s.
Dude, he's in the lower percentile for age in the heavyweight division. Like if you're still in your 30s, you're ahead of the curve.
Yeah, he might have like 10 years on him.
Yeah, but I mean he's been in some wars and he doesn't have any finishes in the UFC, but if you look at his resume, they throw him right to the wolves, Jeff.
Yeah.
Junior Dos Santos, Ben Rothwell, Tai Tuivasa, Derek Lewis are all of his UFC fights. And in those he's 2-2 and looked good, like had spots in a lot of them. Now, like the Ben Rothwell decision, a little controversial. I thought Rothwell probably won that one. But all close fights. Derek Lewis fight was close. And then I'm curious how old Sakai is, because he looks old too, but he's probably on the younger side since he came through the Contender Series, and I know they don't like. All right, so yeah, he's 29, so he's like a newborn for heavyweight.
Oh yeah, he's got at least 20 years left in this heavyweight division.
Yeah, he's still in diapers. And we got Kevin Holland and Daniel Rodriguez. That's going to be a really fun fight. Jeff, did you have anything else on Ivanov? And
no, we can move on because I'm excited for that Kevin Holland fight too.
Yeah, so Kevin Holland just fought last week. He had the TKO over Anthony Hernandez, and it took him 39 seconds, and he said his weight was good. So he wants to jump right back in there. And he's getting in there with Daniel Rodriguez, who's 11-1. So that's a really fun fight. Man, I don't know how good of an idea it is getting right back in there so quick, especially with everything that's going on. Like, has he been getting proper training through the pandemic and everything like that? Cutting weight within 2 weeks. And Daniel Rodriguez is a killer. He's coming off a submission win over Tim Means, which is no easy task. And that was his UFC debut. Hasn't lost a fight since 2017, and that was a split decision. So, you're looking at a tough kid here. Also 33, but he looks much younger than Blagoy Ivanov.
Yeah, dude, Kevin Holland, no joke, looked great against Anthony Hernandez. Bill, I don't have much of a problem with him getting back in there. If he feels good, and he can keep his weight down, why not? I say more power to him. He's making money during this pandemic, which not a lot of people can say that. So good for him.
Yeah, man. And then we have two more Contender Series fighters. We have Roosevelt Roberts and Brok Weaver. So Brok Weaver's last fight, very controversial against Rodrigo Vargas. He got hit with that illegal knee and subsequently won the fight by disqualification. He wasn't able to continue. And it was a fun fight up to that point. It was really unfortunate that it had to end that way. But yeah, Brok Weaver looked like an absolute animal on the Contender Series, and Roosevelt Roberts has been on quite a tear as well. He's 9-1, really tough guy who came through the Contender Series as well, I believe. Yes, he did. It was season 2, episode 7, and he is currently 3-1 in the UFC. His only lost to Vince Pichel. So,
Yeah, so Bill, I'm excited for that one. Both of these guys pretty well rounded, and we'll see how Brock Weaver bounces back. Bill, a couple people thought, it wasn't the best way to win. And Bill, shout out to Claudia Bojo, who's the producer of the show.
Yeah, my beautiful better half joined in on the show. It's okay, Jeff. She can't pronounce your last name either.
Why did I say it wrong?
Yeah, Boggio.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, she can't pronounce my last name either, and she always gets my nationality wrong, so it's okay. I get one.
Yeah. You guys have such like a fun sibling rivalry. It cracks me up when you do start ripping into each other. It's one of my favorite things.
But anyway, Bill, everybody's favorite Brazilian, well, or at least Brazilian accent, looks like she's going to be on this card.
Everybody's favorite Brazilian who was born in Arizona, Mackenzie Dern. I love, for anybody who hasn't seen this, go to YouTube and check out the evolution of Mackenzie Dern's accent, because it shows interviews with her and early in her career when she was just a monster on the grappling scene. She just sounds like a white girl from Arizona, and then like the Brazilian accent slowly starts to take over. And I give Mackenzie Dern a lot of credit because she got in there, what was it, 4 or 5 months after having a kid for her last fight. It was something ridiculous like that. I can't believe it. Man, I could barely get off the couch 5 months after my kid was born, and I didn't even give birth to her. I was just kind of there.
Yeah, dude, you got to be impressed with Mackenzie Dern. I mean, she was pregnant longer than she lived in Brazil to develop that accent. So Bill, shout out to Uncle Tom joining the show as well.
Yeah, let's clarify that he's an actual uncle named Tom. We don't want to catch any heat for that one, Jeff. But yeah, he calls you his third nephew. You know that, Jeff?
Bill, I love it. Bill, you know how I'm with your family. I love hanging out with you and your folks. I basically I've met your brother, your sister, both your parents, your Uncle Tom. I met your grandpa at the wedding.
Yeah.
So yeah, Bill, I've always considered myself, an adopted Welker member. Your family's super welcoming. So always happy to see him. Always happy to greet the Welker clan.
Oh, and speaking of my mom, here she is.
And now we got Aunt Sue on the
we're turning this podcast into a family reunion. This is awesome. All right, so in any case, the world's most famous Brazilian accent, Mackenzie Dern, is taking on Hannah Cifers. This is an interesting fight because Mackenzie has. Her striking is kind of rough, just because she hasn't been doing it very long. But she's not afraid to throw anything because she doesn't care if the fight goes to the ground. And Hannah Cifers coming off the TKO loss to Angela Hill in her last fight. She's kind of been hot and cold as of late. Her last big win was in August against Jodie Escobar. Interesting fight. Hannah Cifers has an advantage on the feet. If it goes to the ground, I imagine she's going to be in trouble. But if she can get her hands on Mackenzie on the feet, then it's going to be a rough night.
Yeah, definitely an uphill battle for Hannah Cifers if it goes to the ground. Her best chance is staying on the feet because, like you said, Mackenzie Dern is still developing that striking. But dude, so shout out to Mark Fellows too. Hi, Mark. The podcast, it's for everybody. Mark, we're here for all you guys during quarantine.
We're all family. You're part of the family now too, Mark.
Yeah, you're
joining
our Australian cousin.
So the answer is yes. Yes, the podcast is for family. This is a family show. All right, what do we got? Another really good female fight here. We got Katlyn Chookagian, coming off of that loss in the championship fight to Valentina Shevchenko, and I guess she's going to try and avenge it by fighting her sister. So, she took that TKO loss to Valentina. She was never really in that fight. Just got kind of overwhelmed there. But maybe she'll have a better shot against Valentina Shevchenko. We're going to find out on Saturday. Oh, Antonina. Sorry. Valentina is the one she just fought.
Yeah, I don't know about that, Bill. I mean, Antonina Shevchenko, we don't hear a lot about her, but she's a very decorated martial artist as well. A lot of championships in Muay Thai, and, just as talented a striker as her sister. Bill, and I know the answer to this probably is no, but Bill, would you ever see a sister versus sister fight for that 125-pound championship? I think it would be awesome.
I mean, if any siblings are going to fight each other professionally, I feel like these two would be the ones that would actually do it. Like, I couldn't see like the Diaz brothers fighting each other, especially because they're different weight classes. Maybe Douglas and Diego Lima would fight each other.
I can see that.
Or the Pitbull brothers. Those guys are fucking animals.
Yeah, I totally could see them fighting each other. That might be their training sessions, just to fight each other.
Yeah. I mean, there's something to be said about that. Historically, fighters who have siblings roughly the same age who also fight, it pushes them. And that goes for wrestling as well. Wrestlers who have twin brothers always crush it, because they have somebody to train with who's like their same size and weight. Like Matt Hughes had a twin brother that he wrestled with growing up. There were actually two sets of twins that came through the Penn State wrestling program in recent years. And those guys, like all four of them were all Americans every year. I think the last name's escaping me. Silversteins, something like that. But yeah, because like they get home from wrestling practice and it's like, all right, whoever gets taken down in the backyard has to do the dishes. So they just keep wrestling, and then they just become phenomenal wrestlers. We got Klidson Abreu and Jamahal Hill. That's going to be a fun fight. Tim Elliott and Brandon Royval. I'm not familiar with Brandon, but we know Tim Elliott always puts on exciting fights. Casey Kenney against Luis Smoka and Chris Gutierrez against Vince Morales. What's jumping out to you, Jeff?
Bill, I'm loving that Tim Elliott fight. I think it could breathe some new life into this flyweight division, Bill, which for some reason I always have to say, because either Demetrius Johnson either clean out the division or we don't have a champion, which is the current case. So I'm really hoping Tim Elliott can put on a performance that, catches Dana White's eye. We talked about how Tim Elliott essentially one of the few guys to maybe win a round against Demetrius Johnson in the flyweight division, except for Henry Cejudo, of course. But, I just remember that performance and, seeing how much he had changed and evolved from his first stint in the UFC. So, I'm really hoping that Tim Elliott can shine here.
Yeah. Well, it looks like a tough kid he's going up against. Brandon Royval. His nickname is Raw Dog. I imagine there's only one way to obtain a nickname like that.
I certainly hope it means that he spars without taping his hands first or something. That's the only way this works out, Bill.
Let's hope it's not the traditional definition of Raw Dog, especially now that I know my daughter's watching this show. And she's only 2, but like she's pretty with it. We don't need it. We don't need her to hear old dad talking about things like that. But yeah, it looks like this is gonna be his UFC debut. Comes fighting out of Englewood, Colorado, and fought over in LFA for a while. Looks like he had a lot of fights over there, actually. So UFC debut, big task taking on Tim Elliott. And yeah, you were mentioning the saving of the flyweight division. So they just announced that Joseph Benavidez is going to fight Figueiredo for the vacant title.
Again?
And man, it's not looking good for this division, Jeff, because this is going to be a rematch in which, Benavidez got smoked by Figueiredo, who didn't make weight. So now you're put in a position where you might be given the title shot again to a guy who may not make the weight. And even if he does, he struggles to make it. So, is he going to be missing weight for title defenses if he wins the championship? And then, Joseph Benavidez, if he wins the title, he's got to be approaching the end of his career. I mean, that guy has done it all. The only thing he hasn't done is realize the UFC championship. So once he's done that and maybe defended it once, you got to imagine he's going to ride off into the sunset. So I don't really see a bright future for this division, Jeff. I hate to be the pessimist here, but I don't know. You thinking anything differently?
No, Bill, now that I didn't even know that that's what was being set up here for this flyweight division. Now I'm a little nervous. The flyweight division has always been on rocky ground here. It's always been, kind of on quicksand because Dana White is not crazy about it. And I don't know what you do here. I don't think it's the move to give, to make a rematch of a fight that didn't work out the first time. The only way that would have worked is if Benavidez won, which he did not, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, hopefully Benavidez went back to the drawing board and kind of was able to analyze what didn't work out in that last fight. Figueiredo's a tough dude, but, he needs to make the weight too.
Yeah. It's because you could have, like, say Figueiredo wins and then, like, all right, he wants to move up to bantamweight. And then what? Like, who do you have? You don't have any star power in this division. Like, Joseph Benavidez is the last of the Mohegans here. If Tim Elliott can have an impressive win, maybe there's him. I don't even know who else is in this division, Jeff. And this is something I talk about publicly on a weekly basis. And I'm not familiar with the top 10 of this division.
Bill, I don't know if this division has a top 10. It might only have 10 fighters in it at this point.
Yeah, I mean, look, they got to find somebody for Tim Elliott to fight. They're bringing a guy from LFA over. Granted, there's a lot of stuff going on. I certainly couldn't make 125 pounds at this juncture, Jeff. So that's probably why they haven't been calling me.
Yeah, dude. I think the last time I weighed 125 was when I was like 10, if that. But Bill, quick question for you. Where is this card taking place? Is it still in Florida? This card on Saturday?
No, it's going to be at the Apex where they do the contender series. So I imagine there's going to be a little bit more noise in there. I don't know if they're going to do something to separate the commentary, because that was an issue where they said the fighters could hear the commentary, which means the judges could hear the commentary. But I know at the Apex, they have like a separate booth for the commentary team, like where they used to do the Snoop Dogg and Uriah Faber broadcast. So maybe they'll put them up there. A lot of people were saying like maybe the judges were influenced by being able to hear the commentary, because some of the fighters came out and said, thanking Daniel Cormier for the advice in the middle of the fight, because they heard, oh, they should do this, they should circle this way, or they should step out. And I think it was Carla Esparza was like, I started listening to him, and because why wouldn't you listen to Daniel Cormier, two division champion, Olympic level wrestler, good person to have as a bonus corner, man. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess you got to put the commentary team somewhere else where like the judges can't hear them and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's their only option here. But I don't know how that booth thing is going to work out at the Apex. If we're practicing social distancing and everything. Um,
Yeah.
I say put them out in the crowd. Nobody's sitting there anyway.
I like where Joe Rogan kind of commented on that at one of them, because they had them at tables that were spread apart. But then, they do the intro for like, hey, you should come by the pay-per-view. And Joe Rogan's like, we don't have to sit far apart, but we're all standing right next to each other now.
Oh man, yeah, I remember that, and just cracking up at that. And again, why are they standing so close to each other? And it was only whenever, like in between fights, when they were talking about the upcoming fight, they would all stand near each other. So it's what are we even doing this for?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is good to know that nobody has gotten sick since. They've been like diligently testing all the fighters, after they fight, and all of their team members and everything like that. And it seems like everybody's okay, with the exception of Jacare and his two coaches who tested positive, but they were asymptomatic. So, it's good that, they've been able to put on these events safely. And, it's got to be costing a ton of money to be able to do that. And they're losing out on the live gate. They're going to save money now doing it at the Apex, because they don't have to pay for a venue.
No.
And they don't have to pay for a crew to move stuff around. They already have the cage and everything set up there. So that'll save a bunch of money. But speaking of Joe Rogan, Jeff, I have to get this out there too. Some big news with Joe Rogan that came out last week. I don't know if you heard. He sold the exclusive rights to his podcast to Spotify. So starting in September, I believe, all of his content is going to be moved from YouTube and from Apple Podcast and Google Play and everything like that. It's all going to be wiped off of there. And the only place you'll be able to hear is on Spotify. And I think he did 4 years for $100 million, Jeff, which is so phenomenal. I don't know Joe, and he doesn't know me from anybody else, but I was so happy for him when I heard this news. And then, of course, people are upset because, people want to hate on everything. And they're like, well, I like to listen to my podcasts on Apple Podcasts. Like, dude, this guy had the opportunity to make sure his kids and his kids' are set for life with money. And, $100 million, that's generational wealth right there. For a kid who grew up like pretty poor in Boston to be able to make what he has out of himself and get to this point in his career. I thought it's incredible. And it shows that the sky is the limit for doing stuff like this. You and I do this for fun. But it's really awesome to see somebody who essentially does the same thing as us and achieve that level of success for themselves. And I think it's awesome. So great for him. It's going to be interesting to see how it works out. Like Spotify is going to be adding video, I guess, and we don't know how that's going to look. But Joe was frustrated with YouTube because they were censoring him and they were taking some of his content down. And he's like, what the fuck? I'm one of the biggest revenue generators for you guys. I do this on my own, so I can't be edited on my own, on my own company for this reason. So I can do it my way. And you guys are editing my stuff. So I don't know. Have you heard about this, Jeff?
Yeah, and dude, I'm happy for Joe Rogan. I've been a fan of his for years, through Fear Factor and his stand-up. I love his stand-up. I think he's hilarious. So, good for Joe Rogan, dude. Like you said, he's set, his family's set for life. And for those of you complaining, I mean, Spotify is free. Sure, you have ads, but I'm not going to complain about that. I use Spotify basically every day to listen to other podcasts, music. I have a whole bunch of playlists on there, and I recommend Spotify to everybody.
MMA on the Rocks is on Spotify.
Indeed, it is. So,
dude, if they wanted to pay me, a fraction of that, I would sell all the rights. You could take me off everywhere. You could take me off the whole internet. every minute. How about $1 million? I won't broadcast anywhere. You pay me to stop doing this.
Yeah, dude. Good for Joe Rogan, man. Like you said, successful guy. And Joe Rogan's just an interesting dude. Sometimes he says stupid things, but so does everybody else. And to add to what you were saying, everybody is going to complain about everything, whether Joe Rogan does it or he doesn't do it. People are going to complain. So I figure, go for it.
Yeah, and then even like us, we talk for an hour a week and we say stupid shit all the time. So imagine if you're doing 3-hour podcasts, 4 days a week. Obviously, you're going to say some stupid shit. And there's millions of people out there just hanging on your every word, waiting for you to make a mistake so they can cut up the clip and make you look like an asshole. I could only hope to reach that level of success where people do that with me, Jeff, where they take dumb things I say and do cut up like a bloopers reel for me. I'll be like, if I ever see that somewhere, I'll be like, wow, I made it.
Oh, absolutely, man. Dude, the only issue that I have with the Joe Rogan podcast is Brendan Schaub. I feel like he adds nothing to that show. But other than that, it's an awesome show.
Yeah. Well, you have your gripes with Brendan Schaub for personal reasons, I think.
But I just don't think he's funny, Bill.
I think it has to do with his past relationships.
Bill, if that were the case, I would hate Travis Brown too.
All right. Well,
I don't hate him. I just don't like him that much.
But what if Travis Brown started doing stand-up comedy and started appearing on Joe Rogan all the time?
It depends. He's got to be funny. I don't think
Brendan Riddle Schaub, me that, Jeff.
He has to be funny. I just don't think Brendan Schaub is funny. I've listened to his stand-up, and I had to turn it off.
Yeah.
3 jokes in, I couldn't do it.
I went to see him live here in Tampa, and he tries. It's like, that's all I could say about it. He tries. You can tell he put a lot of time into it. Yeah,
I couldn't compare him to anything. So,
in any case, I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan as well. I don't listen to his podcast as much anymore, but he's definitely a big reason, why we kind of started this, free form conversation format. Because I always enjoyed this style of podcast as opposed to the type that's like produced and music added to it and everything like that. And, there are some that I enjoy, including MMA True Fan, which I've just gotten into. I'm going to give a little plug for those guys because we have one of the producers coming on the show real soon. If you guys are into like real storytelling, documentary style podcasts, MMA True Fan, it's TRUFAN. Excellent podcast. They do like real storytelling style about MMA legends like Mark Coleman and Kevin Randleman. And, I've been following the sport for a long time, Jeff, and they were throwing some facts in there and some backstory information that I had no idea about. And it's really well done. So I'm looking forward to talking to those guys on the show real soon, but check that out. If you guys want to get a couple episodes under your belt before we have the producer come on the show. Yeah, man. So we got some fun stuff coming up. The other thing I want to plug real quick is it was just announced a few hours ago. My buddy and friend of the show, Matt Steamroller Frivola, is going to be fighting next month, June 20th, UFC Fight Night 173 against Frank Camacho. And Jeff, there's no way this fight isn't fucking fireworks. Steamroller has never been in a boring fight. He just doesn't know how. And, we all know Camacho is one of these guys that goes in there and he's looking to knock you out. And if he gets knocked out in the process, like that's the way it goes. And, always exciting. So that I'm really looking forward to that fight, and I was so excited when it got announced today, and I messaged Steamroller right away, and yeah, man, that's gonna be a fun one.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one, dude. Matt Favola, just a tough dude, cardio for days, trains with Ray Longo, so you know his jiu-jitsu and his wrestling are top notch. And Frank Camacho, tough dude. He's not going to stop unless somebody stops him. So this is definitely going to be a good fight for that June card, which the headliner is Nunez versus Felicia Spencer. And we can talk a little bit more about that one next week, but that's looking like a good card too.
Yeah. Frank Camacho has been around a long time, man. Fought Neil Magny as an amateur. Or no, it wasn't an amateur fight. Sorry, it was on the Ultimate Fighter, so it counted as an exhibition. But yeah, Camacho's been around since 2005.
Oh wow, he's been doing this a long time. Yeah,
it's a long time, Jeff. I was still in college in 2005, and I was in college a long ass time ago.
Yeah, but I'm not going to tell you where I was in 2005 because that'll make you feel old.
You're in like third grade.
Yeah, I was finishing up middle school. Yeah.
Oh shit. Oh, all right. That's not.
Yeah, so I was in 7th grade, Bill.
I bet I could have submitted you then.
Yeah, but you can submit me now. So what difference does it make, Bill? You proved nothing.
I just had to throw it out there that I would beat up a middle schooler when I was in college. I don't know though, Jeff. If you were 125 pounds at 10 years old, I don't know if I would have tangoed with you at the end of middle school.
I mean, it wouldn't have been easy, but I'm sure you would have found the way.
I'm wily, Jeff. I haven't been cheating the social distancing and getting any grappling, and as I know plenty of people who have been. We run in small circles here, so when people are kind of cheating the rules and getting their rolls in. But I have not, Jeff. I've been following all the rules, and the gyms are starting to reopen down here now, but they're doing like social distancing training, like movement drills, and like have tape on the mats. It's like, all right, just call me when I can strangle somebody.
Yeah, dude, I'm all for it. I'm all for waiting it out until, I can get my hands on somebody. But Bill, up here, we're starting to open things up slowly as well. This weekend, the parks are opening up, and it was limited to 10 people before. They're pushing that up to 25 now. But still, we got to do the social distancing thing. I kind of didn't go out this weekend just because it was raining all day yesterday, and today it looked like it was going to rain. And unfortunately, the park by my house, I told you this last week, they had to close it because there were people just getting rowdy and not following the rules, and then yelling at sheriffs when they came to break everything up. So
stay classy, New Jersey.
Yeah. So that's a very Jersey thing to happen. So I figured I should just stay home for a little while longer.
Yeah, that was happening before there were any pandemics. That's just how it goes. But yeah, I'm a fan of the social distancing, Jeff. I hope they leave all the stickers on the floor of the supermarket and people so nobody's like breathing down your neck when you're trying to, pay for your groceries and stuff. And like, I'm a fan of all this. I practiced all this stuff before there was ever a worldwide virus on the loose. So I'm cool with it. And if I don't have to go to a toddler birthday party for a while, I know I've talked about this before, but I will be totally content. If you guys have been wondering what I've been sipping on here while we've been talking, might as well put that out in the open. I've got some Old Forester bourbon, 86 proof. So they make this in the 86, and they also make 100. I like the 86 just because it's like a comfortable sip. It doesn't have too much sting, and you can sip on it for a while and not be falling on the floor, which is which is the way I like to do things too. This is one of my go-tos, Jeff. I always have a bottle of this in my bar. Ever since I discovered the Old Forester, it's been like when I don't know what I want to pour, this is what I grab. It's the Old Forester. It's become the wife's favorite as well. And she's always like, pour me some whiskey. And then I have to like play scientist when she's like, oh, I don't like this one. This one's too smoky. Or this one's too sweet. So like I have to narrow down like what she likes because she'll never remember the name of anything. But I figured out that she does like the Old Forester. It's it's kind of rich, a little on the sweet side for a bourbon, which is nice. No burn. You could drink this neat easily, and you don't need any ice. Even the missus doesn't need it with ice, but she just prefers it that way. But she'll drink it neat. It's a real smooth bourbon, and then they have like all their specialty lines. Like they have the Prohibition edition. They have their original batch recipe, but you can grab like the 750 of the 86 proof for like $20. So this is definitely like a great value. I usually have like a big handle of it that you can get for like 30 something bucks, maybe $35. I usually have that in the bar, but the last time I went to the liquor store, they didn't have it in stock. So I just got one of the little guys here. But I always have it on hand. And then the specialty lines are a little more, those go for anywhere from 45 to 65 a bottle. So those are like more special occasion bourbons, I guess. And Jeff, I know you've been staying away, so I don't have to ask if you've been sipping on anything interesting. I know you don't want to get all like Jack Nicholson in The Shining during quarantine.
Yeah, dude. I mean, between reading and watching TV, I got to take it easy on that stuff. But, Bill, I'm excited for these fight cards coming up. And like you said, I'm in the same boat. I don't really have a problem with social distancing. Keeps the parents away from me, from my students. So, it's like a nice little vacation. Not having to deal with parents who are unhappy with certain grades.
Sorry to jump right to something else, Jeff, but my mom says you got to try snake venom beer. There's nothing like it. And I know, I don't know if she got hacked because I know my mom doesn't drink beer. So somebody must be on her Facebook right now, and they're trolling me with my mom's account. But I don't even know what snake venom beer is.
It doesn't sound like it's FDA approved.
Yeah, probably not. You know what I had when I was in Japan, Jeff? I had the sake that they put it in the bottle with like a petrified snake, like a rattlesnake.
So do they put formaldehyde in there or something?
No, it was just the alcohol. And it was pretty disgusting. Like I had to have a couple of drinks before I got the courage up to try it. And I did it just so I could say I did it. And I took a picture next to the bottle, like they put the bottle on the bar for you.
Did you keep the snake afterwards?
No, because they just pour you like a little shot of it. You don't drink the whole bottle. But it was like a big rattlesnake, Jeff. It was like this. And it's like coiled up. I gotta show you. Maybe I can put a picture here. Let's see. Rattlesnake sake.
So can you cook with this stuff? How does it work?
Yeah, I mean it's sake. Here we go. Let me just find.
So does the sake have snake venom in it? How does it work?
No, I think they take the venom out. So it's I guess the alcohol preserves the snake. So their thing is it's supposed to be like for virility. They say, if you drink this stuff, you'll get somebody pregnant after. Here we go. So I don't know. Can you see this photo here?
Yeah. So okay.
Yeah. So you see they coil the snake up in there, and then some of them are like more like there's an art to it, I guess. Like they coil it up and they have the snake's mouth open so you can see the fangs, and it's like in attack mode.
Yeah, they
For
probably
those of you listening to the audio version, you might want to go over and look at the Facebook video or YouTube, or you could just Google Habushu, Habushu, and you'll see the pictures of what I'm talking about, the petrified snakes inside. It's like, I remember it was like spicy. It had like almost like a clove spiciness to it. And it was like a little fruity. Oh, look, here's one with a cobra. That's wild. I don't know if I would ever do it again. Like, it tasted good, but I just did it because I was like, well, I've never seen anything like this in my life. I have to try it. But let me have like 4 or 5 whiskeys first. Yeah. So that's that.
Oh, that one's got 2 snakes in it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. They're all different. Like I said, there's like an art to it. So, they put the snakes in different poses. Oh, here's another cobra one. This one's kind of cool.
Oh, wow. I mean, I would want to buy the bottle just to keep it because it looks cool. But,
yeah.
I wouldn't let it like hit the floor or anything.
Yeah, imagine it shatters and then like the snake comes. You got a drunk ass snake.
Yeah, you have a drunk king cobra coming at you.
It's just slithering around your house. Well, I'm glad my mom brought up snake venom beer so I could take this trip down memory lane about the Habushu. But that was a fun trip, Jeff. I would love to go back to Japan someday. It would be a tough trip with the little one right now, maybe when she's a little bit older, but it was awesome. I got to go to UFC at the Saitama Super Arena, which was, that's like hallowed ground, Jeff, where they had like all legendary pride fights and stuff like that. It was an awesome experience. And Japan it's like being on another planet, man. It's everything's really different over there. It's super clean. Everybody's like really courteous and orderly. Like everybody follows the rules. There's like certain social rules that they do where like you always, if you're going down an escalator, you always stand on the right. So if somebody's in a hurry, they can run up and down the other side. When they get to the train platforms, they all line up in the order that they got there. So if you get there after somebody else, you stand behind them so they could get on the train first. It's definitely like the opposite of the way things are here.
Bill, Japan sounds awesome. And it's the home of Pokemon. So that sounds like my type of country. I got to go to this Japan you speak of.
Yeah, I mean, you'll be more likely to find the snake whiskey than you will to find Pokemon because I don't think those are real things.
I mean, I would just want to go to the Nintendo building and play Super Mario Bros. with the guys who made it.
Yeah, they do have gosh, I can't remember the name of the neighborhood, but everything is like anime in the streets. Our buddy Serena De Jesus would love it. Or she's been there actually. But yeah, they have like the girls dress up as like the Harajuku girls and like people are dressed up like anime characters, and there's like all fun like cartoony shops and things like that. It's an interesting place. When I stayed there, we stayed for a majority of the time in a neighborhood called Shibuya, which is a neighborhood in Tokyo. I don't know if you know this, Jeff, but Tokyo is just a big circle, right? And they have a train that goes in a circle through Tokyo. And there's different neighborhoods all throughout. And Shibuya is like, there's like a little quiet town. And then literally on the other side of the train tracks, it's it's like Times Square. It's like their version of Times Square. But then you go across the train tracks and it's like this little tiny suburb with like little shops. And Mark knows the name of the neighborhood. He's sharing it with us. Akihabara. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, man. I don't know. So we got some fun fights coming up. We got some cool guests in the near future. So that's going to be fun too. You got anything else you want to get off your chest here, Jeff?
Yeah, now I want to go to Japan, and now that flights are super cheap, I can't even do it because there's a pandemic. So,
yeah,
those shops you mentioned would be open probably.
Well, what you can do since the flights are cheap is book a flight now for, like 12 months from now. There's always that.
Yeah, I could try it.
And then if shit hits the fan again, you could always cancel it because they have pretty understanding, pretty forgiving cancellation policies right now due to the airlines. All right. Well, if you guys want to talk to us about some fights or some booze or anything else, you can always reach out to us on social media. You can get a hold of Jeff at @animal_Wilson on Twitter and Instagram. And you guys can get a hold of me at MMA on the Rocks pretty much everywhere. You can send me an email if you want, MMAonTheRocks@gmail.com. You can go to our website. We got some fun stuff there, MMA on the Rocks. We're going to be revamping that pretty soon. Make sure it's up to date with the new logo and everything like that. T-shirts going on sale soon. So I'll keep you guys up to date on that on the social media. Make sure you're following along. Make sure you have your notifications. If you want to catch the show live on YouTube or Facebook, turn the notifications on. And wherever you're watching or listening, please give a thumbs up, leave some comments, leave a review. Everything helps other people find the show. Give us some shares. And that's all we got. Until next time. Cheers, everybody. Goodbye.